Hey guys, it's Neat2 up here, and welcome back to Black Dude Reviews, a show hosted by a black dude who's not just giving you your money. Today we will be reviewing Mega Man 4, the fourth Mega Man game for the NES. For those who are new to this channel, first off, welcome. Second, currently on Black Dude Reviews, we are reviewing the 6 NES Mega Man games. Mega Man is a very important video game franchise to me, so I thought I'd make a review for each of the first 6 games because I'm currently revisiting them after not playing them for a while, and I'm also trying to see which games I like and don't like. But if you end up liking this video and you would like to see my review for Mega Man 5, which will hopefully be up in a few weeks, please do subscribe. But back to Mega Man 4. At this point, it seems that Capcom was trying to release a new Mega Man game every year from this point forward. Mega Man 3 was a very nicely done and polished game, so let's see if Mega Man 4 can match the quality of Mega Man 3. When we boot up the game, an introductory cutscene plays, telling the story of how Mega Man came to be. Rather odd that you wait until the 4th game to tell the story, but okay. In this game, there's a new antagonist known as Dr. Cossack, who's made 8 Robot Masters who all have the end goal of mopping the floor with Mega Man's face. We also learned that Mega Man's arm cannon has been upgraded. It can shoot a more powerful, bigger shot when it's charged up. And so we start the game. Not much changed from the past few Mega Man games when we talk about very basic stuff, like the password system and the standard 8 bosses, which at this point has now become a tradition. Pick a stage, go through the stage, beat the stage's boss, and you get a weapon that can be useful for other stage bosses. The formula for the first part of the game is pretty much the same as the past 2 games. In terms of the controls and the mechanics of the game, Mega Man 4 basically recycles that of Mega Man 3, as you can still slide and Rush makes a return in this game. However, Rush Jet has been severely nerfed since Mega Man 3, as it now only goes forward and you can only move it up and down. Also, there are alternate paths in Pharaoh Man stage and Dive Man stage that lead to 2 abilities for Mega Man that aren't required to get to beat the game, but are really useful in doing so. The wire from Dive Man stage creates a lengthy arm that goes directly upwards and takes Mega Man directly upwards as well. And the balloon from Pharaoh Man stage is kind of like item 1 for Mega Man 2, in that you can place multiple platforms to get to higher places. This game also introduces Eddie, who will give you a random item ranging from energy to 1-ups and E-tanks. After beating all the bosses, you go to Dr. Cossack's Citadel. 4 extra stages that you need to get through before going after Dr. Wily, because, spoilers, Dr. Wily is the one responsible for Dr. Cossack crashing out against Mega. We also meet Dr. Cossack's daughter, Kalinka, after beating Cossack. After Wily says that Proto Man betrayed him and that he's gonna break Mega Man, we go to the Wily stages. I'm not gonna lie, the Wily stages in this game compared to the Wily stages in Mega Man 3 are definitely more difficult. Wily stage 1 is a stage full of Mets with a Met Daddy boss at the end. Wily stage 2 is kind of easy, but Wily stage 3 is the stage with the boss rush and the battle against Wily Machine 4, who is very annoying to fight, especially the second form. But once we manage to beat him, we go to Wily stage 4, where we fight the first instance of the Wily capsule, a boss that will continue to be the final boss of every Mega Man game moving forward. And once we beat him, we beat the game. Wily gets away again, and he sets his fortress to self-destruct. Mega Man escapes the explosion, and he takes a train to go back home to see Rush and Roll, his sister. So that's Mega Man 4. This game is not a bad game. It's actually one of the better Mega Man games in terms of its performance, looks, mechanics, and controls. There's almost no slowdown or sprite flickering for the entirety of Mega Man 4. The only time in the entire game where I remember there being slowdown and sprite flickering was at the Wily Machine 4 fight. But besides that, this game looks and runs great. However, I always felt that the flashing lights when you fight bosses in the endgame stages were a bit much. I'm not epileptic by any means, but scenes like this are enough to give someone like me a headache. I find the wire and balloon adapters to be pretty interesting ideas, even though the balloon was pretty much just them recycling Mega Man 2's item 1. But I low-key like the little effect where it goes a little lower when Mega Man is on top of it. Very subtle, but very nice. Once again, this game looks great. Just like last game, a lot of blocks in this game have a small lighting effect with the edges being creased with white light. Another very subtle detail, but it's still very nice to look at. This is one of the best looking Mega Man NES games. I also like how the weapon selection screen looks in this game. However, as visually pleasing as this game is, it's still not one of my personal favorite Mega Man games. Honestly, playing back through the entire game, I found the game to be pretty boring and lackluster compared to the previous Mega Man games. I think the biggest reason why I feel this way about this game is because of its length, which is something that I didn't really mention in my review for Mega Man 3, but I also think that that game is excessively long too. I don't think you need 19 stages in order to make a good Mega Man game, but this game has 16 stages, and while that is less than Mega Man 3, I still think that some of these stages, specifically the Cossack levels, don't need to be here. I could say the exact same thing about some of the Wily stages in Mega Man 3. If it were up to me, I personally would have just had one Cossack stage where you fight Dr. Cossack himself and then go to the Wily stages. I actually think that the story would go on faster if you just had one Cossack stage than if you had 4. As if Cossack was the real bad guy. Or maybe they were just doing this to build up suspense and to surprise you when Dr. Wily finally reveals himself to be the real bad guy. But I still think that the length of this game could have been handled better. And speaking of the story of this game isn't great. The first part of the story is good, you know, Dr. Cossack's a new bad guy, but later Wily reveals himself to be the bad guy manipulating Cossack. But the second part of the story is, in my opinion, very underwhelming. It's pretty much Wily escapes, the castle blows up, Mega Man goes home, the end. We don't know what happens to Dr. Cossack, and Wily got away scot-free again. So the ending is pretty much the same as the other endings in that Wily just escapes. Except this time, it actually shows the process of Wily escaping. But I don't know, it's just not very inspiring or emotion evoking. Overall, in my opinion, the game's story and length makes Mega Man 4 pretty boring and unexciting to play through. Mega Man 4 kind of falls short in the weapon department too. There are some weapons in this game that I only find to be useful against bosses only, like Dust Crusher and Ring Boomerang. I mean, the weapons in this game aren't bad per se, but I feel that the design of a lot of these weapons were made with Mega Man's Mega Buster in mind, so much so that there aren't really that many good opportunities for the other weapons to shine. Well, I mean, there are some situations where some of the weapons are better to use than the Mega Buster, but I feel that that's the reason why these weapons fall short. They're too situational. I don't really feel a dire need to use any of the other weapons in the stages because the Mega Buster is just better. As for the difficulty of this game, it's not that bad. It's definitely not an easy Mega Man game, as it does have a lot of moments where the game just wants you to lose, but it's not as bad as previous Mega Man games in my opinion. Now, if you've been keeping up with the episodes, you know that I love to talk about the music in these games. The music in Mega Man 4 isn't bad, but it isn't great in my opinion. The Wily Capsule theme is pretty catchy, and the credits theme remixes Mega Man 2's main theme, but these tracks aren't really anything to write home about. The soundtrack is just not very memorable for me. In fact, I could say the same thing about Mega Man 4 as a whole. This game is just not very memorable for me. Yes, this game added the charge shot. Yes, this game added the Wily Capsule. Yes, this game introduced Eddie. But this game just doesn't really have that certain aspect of it that makes you remember the name of the game, good or bad. I mean, you hear people talking about how great Metal Blade is from Mega Man 2. You also hear people talking about how hard Quick Man stage is from Mega Man 2. You also hear people talking about how hard Doc Robot is from Mega Man 3. And you also hear people's opinions on Topspin from Mega Man 3. But you don't really hear conversations like that for Mega Man 4, because the game is just kinda there when it comes to the overall design of the levels. Mega Man 4 isn't a bad game, it's just very unremarkable for me. This game just doesn't have anything remarkable that truly sets it apart from the other Mega Man games. The Cossack stages are pretty much like the Doc Robot stages in Mega Man 3, and the Wily stages aren't really all that great besides the Wily Capsule. This game looks great, performs great, controls great, but it's, in my opinion, too lengthy. I found myself taking a longer time to beat this game than to beat Mega Man 3, and the story, while it's unique, doesn't really have an inspiring ending to it. It's just basically Mega Man going back home. If you find this game to be memorable and exciting to play, more power to you, but I don't. This is a good game, but to me, it's not as significant and as fun to play as games like Mega Man 2 and 3 were. But hey, at least they're getting better with the box art. So with all that said, I give Mega Man 4 for the NES a 3-star rating. Unfortunately, it seems that the rest of the Mega Man games for the NES were kind of losing their NES charm that I talked about in Mega Man 3. I mean, the Super Nintendo has already been out for over a year when Mega Man 4 released, so I'm not sure why they kept making Mega Man games for the NES. Why not experiment with new and improved hardware? Alright, that's enough out of me regarding Mega Man 4. Next time, we will be reviewing Mega Man 5 for the NES, and if you're not subscribed, please do, as I wouldn't want you to miss that review. But besides that, leave a like or leave a dislike, and thanks for watching.